Lost my mind, now I'm feeling so fine, cause I finally realized I don't need you. I'm feeling sublime when you're watching me shine, and you realize it's time I don't need you.
Another episode of Resources in the Valley,
where you get your tools to make the most out of every day.
How are you, Imani?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day today. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's gorgeous here. Gonna get out and do some fun things with Aiden, and you know, how was your week so far? We haven't talked in a week or so. How's your week going? How are things in your life?
It's going great. It's going great. It's been very, very busy. But I think that what we talked about a few weeks ago, envisioning your future and how you want it to be and working backwards, that really seems to be paying off. So, yeah, it's been really great. What about you? How was your week?
My week has been actually very good. We took a little hiatus after tax season. And then now back into the swing of things. Vacation is over, spring break is over. And my days have really just been filled by the grace of God. Things have slowed down a little bit. But I have actually been called on for several projects that just unexpected things just popping up for me to get done and things like that. So it's been great. It's been a blessing. Grateful. I'm grateful for the guidance every day. So the last episode we talked about ignorance is bliss, and we spoke in reference to knowledge being power versus ignorance being bliss. Our call to action was to do inventory. Does your environment accommodate your goals? More structure to schedules and things like that. Did you make any changes? And did you update anything or things like that over the last couple of weeks?
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I do often think about who's in my circle, who's in my life, and I think the practice of taking inventory is really important because it holds you and the people that you know to accountability. So in my instance, I thought that maybe there was somebody that I needed to kind of take a few steps back from, but I reached out to them just to check in and see and get a better idea of if that's something I should do. And it turned out they were dealing with loss and a lot of things going on in their world. So I think that, holding others accountable is really good, but also holding ourselves accountable and having grown up conversations instead of just cutting people off because we've never heard from them is something that I relearned this week about how important it is. But what about you?
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. Those real conversations are important. One of the quotes that we have going right now for Resources in the Valley that's kind of running and posting on our social media website says, let's start having real conversations versus facade conversations. And real relationships require hard conversations. If there's a relationship that you cannot have hard conversations, like those real conversations that are not always going to be what I mean, what you want to hear, that's not a real relationship. You know what I mean? Real relationships require those hard conversations, and honestly, that's how you build. So I agree. With the ignorance is bliss versus knowledge is power. What I did was I just started looking into more things that I can learn as far as the directions that I'm going for my business and things like that, and making sure that I'm covering ground and just making sure that like I have more knowledge of situations and things that I want to get done. I am a let's get 3 quotes person. And recently, I started looking to hire someone to help me with the kids Uber business. And I only got 1 quote, and that was fine. But my rule has always been a 3. So I have to question myself on that. You know what I mean? Like, why aren't you getting the 3 quotes? You know what I mean? Why is that? So and that was just me being blissful in my ignorance. You know what I mean? So that was a change that I made. So there's always improvements to be made every day. And I'm grateful for that. So, you know, sometimes we talk about things and it makes me kind of review what's going on, you know, review, am I following my own advice? You know what I mean? Or am I scared to take my own advice? So all of that matters.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess we'll transition into today's topic. So, this week we're going to be discussing how routines really can make or break you. We're going to be looking at regimen versus routine. Regimen meaning your way of life, all right, so I guess we'll transition over into today's topic. So, this week we're going to discuss how routines really can make or break you. The difference between a regimen and a routine is a pretty big difference. Our definition for regimen is going to be your way of life, and the definition of routine is going to be actions that you regularly follow. So, Brooke, what's your take on the difference between regimen and routine, and why it's so important that you find your own?
Well, not even planned, but even the example that I just spoke about. My regimen is to look for 3 quotes. My routine is okay, you know, get a quote or, you know, find somebody and then hire them. But my regimen, my way of life, or my way of always doing things has been to get a bare minimum of 3 quotes, or 3 opinions, or 3 this, or you know what I mean, and then way. Routine is the action that we usually follow. So the thing is we discuss like strong morning routines and things like that, but that's great, but these things need to become a way of life for you. So like for instance, I was on vacation recently, and I still woke up at 4:30. I went back to sleep because I was on vacation, but I still woke up at 4:30 because that's a part of my regimen. Um, and sometimes I would lay in bed and be like, "Oh, I wish I didn't get up at 4:30." But that's a part of my regimen, and because it's a part of my regimen, it's a part of me. Um, we talk about putting things into routine and things like that, but you want those things to be a part of you. You want, like I said, meditation makes me feel good. So I want meditation to be a part of me. I want it to be a part of what keeps me going every day. Whether it's prayer, whether it's whatever it may be. You want those things to become a part of you and your existence and the things that you have going on. Um, I believe a lot of times we talk about routines, but in all reality, the ultimate goal is for it to be a regimen. Um, and that routine, that regimen can change, which is fine. Things have to evolve as we evolve. But when something is regimen, it's part of your life. You know what I mean? It's part of what you do. It's part of you. And when things become part of you, they're going to get done every day, regardless of what your plan is. What do you think, Imani?
Yeah, I think that that is so it's so important to think about. I think that you shared how it can be a positive thing in your life, like getting up early, how that translates over to vacations and just anything going on. And I think that that's really good. Another way that I look at it as it refers to like growing and all that stuff is that sometimes we become like married to our regimen and our routine to the point where we don't want to budge. And so I think that although there's nothing wrong with like getting up early, for example, sometimes some of our regimens can be like our perception of other people, where it's like every time someone comes to us with constructive criticism, I could take it negatively, like, oh, you're saying I'm a bad person. So I do think that that it's also good to just take a look at the phrase being set in our ways and just take a look at whether all of our ways are things that we want to keep, because some things work for maybe a certain space in life, like some things work at work but they don't work at home. Or some things maybe work when you are younger but like once you hit a certain age, you're expected to have like a deeper understanding. So I know, for example, for me, being from New York City, mine is go, 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 go. You wake up, you out of the house by 6 o'clock, and you just going. I don't know where I was going all those years, but I was going somewhere, and it was my regimen. I've been doing it. I mean, my whole life. And one of the things that I had to adjust was once I became a parent, I was trying to grab my kids and go, 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 go. And first off, stuff is not even open at 6 a.m. in Arizona. So that's number one. But secondly, they were tired, they were hungry, they were, whatever it was. And in New York, you can go get food like on the street. There's little carts. So I was used to going, I'll get my sustenance as I go, and I was just at a very fast pace. But it was something that was, a regimen that I had done for so, so, so long, and it did work for me. I mean, I still think deep down I'm still like that. But in the season of motherhood, having young kids that at the time, you know, needed rest, felt overstimulated, and things like that, I had to go ahead and tweak that. So, yeah, I just think that that's one example of how sometimes things work for you, but then when different variables come into your life, you might just have to tweak those.
I agree wholeheartedly. And honestly, as we discuss regimen versus routine, we can just go ahead and go into our phenomenal woman of the week because she might more be known for her husband's endeavors, but because of her regimen and things that she was about, we want to talk about her today because the light needs to be shined on women of strength that we don't always talk about. Who's our phenomenal woman of the week this week, Imani?
Yes, our phenomenal woman of the week is Coretta Scott King. And like Brooke said, when we think of King, we think of Martin Luther King, we think of the holiday, we think of civil rights movement, and he kind of gets all the attention, rightfully so, that he would be honored and revered. But there's a really powerful woman who was a phenomenal woman in her own right. I think that her daughter Bernice King said it very well in regards to her mom's recent 94th birthday. sharing that, excuse me, sharing that she was so much more than Martin Luther King's wife and widow. She was a global leader, a peace advocate, a human rights activist. She founded the King Center 2 months after Martin Luther King was assassinated. So, I mean, that shows her strength and her belief system, and that she was right along with him in some of the things that ultimately changed our world.
Yes, that is very true. And I mean, let's not forget, behind every strong man, there is a strong woman. Coretta Scott was born on April 27th, 1927 in High Burger, Alabama, to Obadiah Scott and Bernice McMurray Scott. Coretta Scott graduated valedictorian from Lincoln Normal High School and entered Antioch College in Yellow Springs, Ohio. In 1945, she received a BA in music and education from Antioch. She also attended Boston's New England Conservatory of Music, where she earned a Bachelor of Music in Music Education. Mrs. King's childhood and education created a path for her to advocate for greater social change. During her lifetime, she spoke with heads of states, including prime ministers, and presidents. In 1974, Ms. King formed a broad coalition of over 100 religious, labor, business, civil, and women's rights organizations dedicated to a national policy of full employment and equal economic opportunity. After her husband's passing, she founded the King Center. Something that she stated when she founded this King Center, her intention was the Memorial Center will, like Martin Luther King, emerge proudly out of the heart of the Black experience in America. But it will address the experiences of all people, especially those who are broken and oppressed, those who desperately search for justice, liberation, and peace. Mrs. King passed on January 30th, 2006. She was the first woman and the first African American to lay in honor in the rotunda of the Georgia Capitol. Mrs. King was a strong woman. She was a strong woman that supported her husband. And I'm not sure, without having a strong woman like that, would he have been able to do the things that he did and accomplish the things that he has accomplished? A lot of times, when you are dealing with men of power or men that have done a lot of things, they have to have a partner that is supporting the things that they do. So we want to thank Coretta Scott King today for supporting her husband in his endeavors and being the phenomenal woman that she was, in order for him to be able to do the things that he did in this life.
Absolutely.
So we get to the second part of our topic. And I liked, Imani, that you spoke about, routines changing, and regimens changing, because the one thing that I do want to shine a light on today is routines and regimens they're always going to change, they're always going to evolve. But the thing is a routine is something that you're trying to make a regimen. The regimen is the thing that you want to become a part of your life. So how does getting into a positive routine and a progressive regimen help you in life, in business, in reaching your goals on a daily basis?
Yes. So I mean, I think that as a podcast for resources in the Valley, one of the greatest resources you could have is being intentional. And I think that's what sets the average person apart from people who are able to reach goals that they have. So I think that when you just let life happen to you and you're on autopilot, and you don't have, like we mentioned in the past, certain breakdowns of how you're going to reach certain goals, you might be surprised to find that decades can pass and you've still never reached that weight loss goal or that income goal or that savings goal, because unfortunately goals are something that, like, um, we have to craft and bring them to life through the routines and regimens that we take part in. They don't come to us. They will sit dormant until we actively work toward them. And I think that that's something that's really interesting, because there so many other things just come, information just is everywhere. But setting that intention, having a schedule, helps you to be more productive, and then also to feel a lot happier about your life, because you can see it progressing from moment to moment. So you can literally know that where I am right now this year, by next year, it'll be different, because I already have a routine and plan in place for how to change it. And if you were to stick with that, it's a guarantee that your life will be different year to year. So that is something that helps to give me a lot of hope and a lot of excitement, gives me something to look forward to, because I know that, as I keep going, I will see the changes or the fruit of the changes that I'm implementing today. How does getting into a positive routine and a progressive regimen help you, Brooke?
Well, so regimens can be positive or negative. And I'm not even going to say positive. I'll say progressive or passive. There are regimens and things that we have in our life that we enjoy doing, whether it's eating all the bad foods, whether it's sitting in front of the TV with popcorn and chips. Some people like to smoke. Some people like to drink. Whatever it is. But we need to, this episode, I want people to review or evaluate the regimens that you have in your life, and what are they doing for you. I often call myself addicted to positivity and things like that, but it's not even that. It's more that I'm constantly evaluating the things that I'm doing and where it's taking me. So if it's not taking me in the direction that I want to go, then I need to stop that thing, or I need to pull back from that thing a little bit more. So I just, from experience, the positive routines that I have placed in my life, they keep me moving forward. And whatever it is that I'm implementing or that I'm pulling back from, it's usually the thing that this is not moving me forward in life. So I need to pull back from this, or this is moving me forward in life. So let me put more time and energy into it. And that's really what I want people to think about this week. Like, what are you doing on a daily basis? What have you prioritized in your life? And where is it taking you? Is it taking you somewhere? Is it not taking you somewhere? Is it wasting your time? Is it not wasting your time? These things matter, especially when you have a goals that you want to meet in life. So our call to action for the week. How are we going to look at our routines and our regimens and help our goals to be met? What are we going to do this week to possibly adjust our routines and our regimens to make sure that we meet our goals?
Yes. They're so loud. Sorry. Okay. one thing I would like to do is something I've seen implemented in finance, where they'll have no spend days, and they'll have like a calendar, and what you do is you'll just check off if you did that, if you did not spend money, and then X if you unfortunately spent money, and share how much. I think I would like to do that with my routine. So there are certain things I've been really struggling with adding daily, like working out, and eating more like real live fruits and vegetables. So those are two things that I would like to have my own little calendar just dedicated to the positive regimen I'm trying to implement or trying to start, and then having a more microscopic look at, did I do it today? Yes or no? Why? And then what can I implement the next day to make sure that I do accomplish that task? I think that will help me because, I don't know, looking at it sometimes makes you feel more connected to it, because it's they say out of sight, out of mind. So my goal is to just basically put it right into my face, and check in on a daily basis to see how I can make those small tweaks to make each day more effective than the next. What about you, Brooke? What do you recommend for our listeners?
Well, I want our listeners to journal just popped into my head, and I believe that journaling is very important, and just whether you do it mentally, verbally, however you do it, I want to challenge our listeners to review the day. Review your day at the end of the day. What happened good? What happened that might have not been so good? How did you react? How long did you react? How long did that weigh down on you? Things like that, because this is where you're going to find, oh, maybe I can tweak this, or maybe I can tweak that. So I want our listeners to journal. If you don't journal every day, it's good to write down things at night. One of the things I do, I don't always write it down, but I try to acknowledge every day 5 good things that happened at the end of the day. These are the 5 good, great in between things that happen during the day. Helps me get a good night's sleep, and helps me wake up ready for the next day. But also review. Review. Oh, I watched 5 hours of Netflix today. I could have did something else. Or maybe I worked too much today. I could have did something with the kids, or whatever it may be. But I want all of our listeners to review, and we're going to do it with you as always. And we hope to see you all next week.
Absolutely. So we are wishing all of you beautiful angels a wonderful, productive week.
And just remember that you will get through this valley too. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, and we will talk to you all next week.
God got me, plant his seeds, let me breathe, cause I need him. Stay faithful, not hateful, I'm playful, cause he got me. He called me his angel, I'm flying to heaven. Just know that he sent me from heaven to flex you.